That wasn't you, and you shouldn't judge yourself as if it was.
I try not to. I think it's getting easier. But, I still am haunted every night.
They're not pleasant memories, Yasha.
It's funny, we don't have, a lot of pleasant memories, it seems. But we've all come together and tried to make some.
Here's to making some more tonight.
Absolutely.
Beau and Yasha's story is one that I've avoided talking about for a long time. In fact, you'll notice that I've talked about pretty much every character in the Mighty Nine except those two. And there's a reason why. I knew that I had something that I wanted to talk about them that was different than the rest. It was more serious, heavy, and I also felt that I couldn't talk about them without keeping them together. I didn't think I could talk about one or the other because there was something very important about the relationship that they ended up having at the end. And I know that sounds a little bit weird because they had a very slow burn romance, right? I mean, it took a long time for them to actually get together, and most of their stories were very separate from each other. They didn't actually have that much to do with each other. But that didn't stop me from thinking that there was something important, something deep down that I was missing about their stories that really brought it all together until it finally hit me. Beau and Yasha are an exploration of a very difficult topic and one that's very hard for people to understand. But I think it's beautiful, incredible, and also very, very sad. This is the story of Beau and Yasha, exploration through trauma and the beauty that comes with healing. Now, before we get into the video, I do want to be totally honest. The video ahead is long and arduous. It's going to take a lot of effort and commitment and focus in order to be able to go through it. And I'm sure you're wondering why. Why would I say that? What's different about this video than any others? Well, honestly, nothing. I'm just trying to psych you out because this is actually a sponsor segment. This is for Only Crits, baby. I love Only Crits. You want to see Only Crits? You want to see these dice? Look at these. I dropped them on the floor. These Only Crits. These are the dice they sent me. I have so many pairs of their dice. You have no idea. I love Only Crits. Actually, they're one of the best companies to work with because look at this. Eric. I was just talking about not feeling pressured to donate anything and you donated 10 memberships? They give me money on my streams. They're amazing. I honestly don't know if they're going to approve this ad, but if they do, they're going to be really cool. Please go buy their stuff and also go support my stream, but go buy their stuff. Go get it. Link in the description below. Can you guys tell that I didn't script this ad whatsoever? When we first get to know the two, there's an obvious connection, at least in the form of a little bit of infatuation. Beau is very clearly a little thirsty over Yasha, and it's played off mostly as a joke at the beginning.
She was awesome.
She didn't say much.
That's why I liked her.
Really cool.
I'll take it and I can just carry you to your seat.
Walking over. I say, hey Yasha. Because I was kind of totally on your shoulder. Heard you talking about my friend, Chester. Yeah.
I didn't mean anything by it. I just.
Dude. No. She's never mentioned a significant other, so I mean.
Oh, I'm not looking for anything. I just.
Will you hold me through the show?
Oh my god.
I mean, that's an extra charge. We do that, though.
How much?
Well, it's an extra 5 gold pieces.
Gold?
5 gold?
These arms are worth a lot.
It's a very swaddling hug. You've never experienced anything like it.
Meanwhile, Yasha is very tall, dark, and mysterious, literally the definition of that, in fact. And so the two of them, as they try to come together and get a little bit more familiar with each other, there's a barrier there. Yasha clearly does not want to actually interact too much with the rest of the group. She has something that she wants to keep hidden away. Now, part of this I do think is because of Ashley Johnson. Ashley Johnson is an incredible role player and an amazing player in D&D in general, but you'll notice that she definitely avoids actually interacting with a lot of things, at least until campaign 3. She seems to have come more out of her shell there, and I think that has a large portion to do with the fact that she didn't have to worry about leaving the campaign this time. She always had to keep a little bit of a barrier between herself and the group because she knew at any moment she may have to go film, and then suddenly she wouldn't be involved in the campaign. So she kept a distance so she didn't have to get too attached, so it would be easy for her character to leave at a moment's notice and her not feel anxious about leaving her character behind. At least I assume that's kind of what it was. But what this ended up doing inside the actual story of the campaign is it led to Yasha being incredibly distant and vague and mysterious, which I think only added into Beau's interest in her. But then eventually, over the course of the story, she ends up leaving. In fact, not even just leaving, she ends up being taken from the group, which is incredibly heartbreaking.
I reach out to Yasha and start sobbing as the door shuts.
Okay. That finishes your go, not.
There's nothing I can do.
Yasha!
I'm just gonna look at Yasha and reach out.
You hear.
We have to run.
Oh boy. Okay, go.
Against the door.
We're gonna book it as fast as
What do we do? What do we do about Yasha?
You guys book it.
Meanwhile, we have Beau. And Beau is a very fascinating character, and I do want to make something incredibly clear. I think Marisha is probably one of the single best players at that table, and I understand what that statement means. She has gotten so much shit in the past, and she got a lot of shit specifically in campaign 1 for the way that she played Keyleth. 1, I think that hate was absolutely unwarranted, but 2, I do see where she could have improved some of her roleplay. The reason that I think she's one of the absolute best players at the table, however, is because she did improve her roleplay. Full-fold. I've never seen a player improve as much as Marisha has, and a lot of people have tried to denote it's because she's afraid of the criticism. I disagree. If she was afraid of the criticism, she would have left the table. Instead, she stood up to the challenge to prove everybody wrong, and I seriously respect her for that. But rant aside from Marisha, I do think that Beau was an amazing example of how good she is at roleplaying. Beau is a rough and tumble, angry kid who just wants to prove something to the world. She was horribly treated as a child, and she's trying to come up from that and actually prove that she's more than just this street rat. Obviously, she never was actually a street rat, but that is how she views herself now because it's better than viewing herself as an abandoned kid from some snotty parents. The difference between Yasha and Beau, and the thing that I really think creates such a fascinating narrative, is the fact that they are both very traumatized in two very different ways, but that never got in the way of their relationship. When they eventually had to face down Yasha as she was controlled by another being, it was heartbreaking to see, and Beau tried so hard to help, but ultimately she ended up pushing away, and I think she would ultimately end up regretting that over the course of the story. And so when Yasha eventually came back, there was definitely this disconnect of Beau knowing that she cares about Yasha, but also dealing with her, well, honestly kind of childlike crush on Jester. It was this difficulty of figuring out what she wanted to do, and this is where the story gets truly intense, and something that I really emotionally resonate with. When Beau and Yasha begin to come together and begin to actually bond with each other, you'll notice they don't really have anything in common other than their trauma, and their trauma isn't actually that connected. You can look between the two of them and it becomes so difficult to see how the two of them can find anything because Yasha was traumatized in the worst ways. She lost her loved one, she was kicked out of her society, and she murdered countless people almost against her will. The amount of trauma that would go into doing something like that is absolutely insane, and Beau was abused as a kid. Now, I know that I make that sound as if they're two totally different things because they are, but let me make it clear, neither of those should be looked down upon. And I think that's why these two resonate with me so much. Because see, Beau went through a horrible childhood, while Yasha went through something objectively much worse, you'd think, but neither of them look at each other and see each other as any more broken than the other. Neither of them look at each other and see the other as more harmed or scarred than the other. And that is why I think it's beautiful. Yasha does not look at what Beau went through and see it as any less than what she went through. And Beau doesn't look at what Yasha went through and find her any less redeemable than Beau is. It's such a heartbreaking thing to see these two broken people, but also so incredibly encouraging to see two people who are broken and not comparing it to each other. Not trying to see who's more harmed, just understanding that harm is harm. See, here's the deal. What Yasha went through was horrible, and what Beau went through was horrible. But there's a need for understanding that the two different ways and things that they went through do not equate to lesser than the other. Beau went through things as a child while her brain was still developing. That is an incredibly vulnerable time for somebody to go through horrible things, and it will affect her for her life. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that. And yes, Yasha went through something terrible later on in life, but it didn't happen while she was developing. And the whole point that I'm trying to make is the fact that these two went through such different things, went through so much together, but were still able to connect with each other and understand that broken means broken. And healing means healing, is one of the most beautiful, underrated stories I think happened over the course of the Mighty Nein campaign. Seeing two people choose to heal with each other and not look at what happened to them, but what they could do about it, is incredible. And I really think that the whole story of the Mighty Nein, as this is probably my last video actually bringing it all together, is just about broken is broken and healing must happen. No matter what you have been through, no matter who you're pretending to be, no matter what lies you've told yourself, broken is broken and healing must happen. And nobody deserves to not be able to receive that healing and redeem themselves. This story, the Mighty Nein in general, connected with me deeply. I honestly don't know if I'll complete Campaign 3. I'm kind of a little burnt out on watching live plays, and that's okay. That is totally okay. I wish Criticalrole all the best. But this story really resonated with a lot of people. It was absolutely incredible, and I think that they should be very proud of what they made. And I hope they continue to make incredible stories that resonate with everyone.